How's it going, everybody? It's Dustin with Lee. We're hanging out. We're talking shenanigans. The big thing tonight, though, is Greed Three's launch, man. Holy cow. Oof, fucking crazy shit. Issue 3, man. Issue 3
Pretty crazy, man.
is pretty crazy. They like the little green dude, man. They like the little green guy. So we're gonna get right into that here in just a minute. Um, I I'm a little caught up in the moment with this one because this is our 10th release. You know, double digits, pretty wild in under 16 months. For those of you better than math at me, that's like a month and a half a book when you break that shit down. And,
Laying down those train tracks, pal.
man, I'm trying. What's going on, Mike? How's it going, brother? But yeah, we're definitely putting it down. I'm very proud of everyone that's been involved. You know, from the first issue of Listener to where we are right now. You know, we've come so far in an industry that it's so hard to make it in. You know, it's not a forgiving industry. It's very difficult. And I'm very grateful to the fans. I'm very grateful for the teammates we have, the people involved, um, and no bullshit whatsoever. There are definitely days when I didn't think I could do it, and some of these cats would just show up out of the woodwork and be like, "Hey, motherfucker, this shit's good. It's good." Thanks, Tina. We appreciate it so much. Oh, they do incredible books over there, man. Ugh, Roadkill Rampage and stuff. That shit's so good, it's ridiculous. So, but we've had a bunch of folks join us recently. We've increased the volume of books we're putting out. We've increased the amount of teams we have, and it's just fucking phenomenal, guys. I'm so very grateful. Um, so anyway, sorry, I'm talking to Russ because Russ is making the new logo as we're sitting here talking. Um, but again, I'm so very grateful, guys. So very grateful that everyone has been involved and everyone is pushing it so hard, from every aspect. I mean, Lee and showing all the cool books off over there and talking to people and just for enjoying our fucking books. Like this guy made me feel really good about my product to the point when I was really, really worried about my stuff. I'm about to hit the button right now, Jake. Literally about to hit it. But I wanted to say thank you to everyone and welcome, you know, welcome to the launch of Greed 3. Thank you all for being here with us, and we'll get right into it. Lee, you want to talk for a minute so I can find the button? I lost the
Sure,
button.
man. Are
I
you
found the
about to
button.
are you pressing the button?
I'm
You're pressing the button?
We
You're
are
going to press the
pressing
button?
the button
There's
right
people out
now,
there wanting
sir.
to press the button, man.
We are pushing the button right now. That
All
button.
right. Well, everyone, Greed 3, about to launch when Dustin pushes the button.
3, push the
Yeah.
button. The button has been pushed. We
All
have
right.
21
Well, it's
days.
live. There
We
you
are
go, people.
live for 21 days.
So jump on there, check it out. His 10th release in 16 months. Mammoth effort.
Mammoth effort. Thanks to everyone that's been involved and everyone that's pushed it, man. It's been quite the experience.
So who's your art team on it, mate? Who's your
man.
artist?
So we brought on Ed Garcia, and Ed he's been in comics for a long time. He's worked in Zenoscope, a few other places. Really, really talented dude. Let me I'll throw up an image. Hold on. Great guy. And then you've got David Acampo, of course, on colors for that. So
And David's been with you for a fair while, hasn't he?
Oh man, since the second issue of the Listener, he's been with me.
Yep.
I'm very, very grateful. Great dude, good, like really good friend, staunch colorist. Yeah, me too, man. The Rocky theme is where it's at. That's what we're pushing. But we brought on a bunch of new bunch of new artists for covers and stuff. We brought, and not only did we bring on, a new interior artist. We brought on Adam Fields. Adam Fields has been with me since book 1 of the Listener. He's come over from the Listener, and doing covers, and they're absolutely awesome. They're really, really, really cool. Love to have Adam on. He and I worked very, very well together. Um, we also brought on, we recently Greg Bow joined us. We really like working with him, and he's doing the Year of the Blue Flame covers for this particular issue.
Now you popped that up this morning on Facebook, and there it is. Yeah,
that came out pretty. That's a pretty one there. It came out really, really good.
Now, for anyone that hasn't watched, mate, like your Year of the Blue Flame covers, give them a little explanation of what they're all about.
So the Year of the Blue Flame is so, so important to us because when we came out, everybody was like, calendar this and calendar that. And I was like, well, I don't have a calendar or anything, but let's do this. Let's do a variant for each month that we release a book, which is every month now. So every month will have a different cover. They're limited to 75 a piece, 50 regular variants, and 25 foils. The only way you can get a foil of those is to get the mystery boxes. And the mystery boxes are a lot of fun. They come with, I think it's 4 issues plus your foil mystery or your foil Year of the Blue Flame cover, which is a $30 value in itself. So, I mean, you're getting a lot of stuff for free in that little package. I appreciate that, Jake. Adam's stuff is so, so good. He, like I said, I've worked with him for a long time. I'm very, very grateful to work with him because he's one of those guys that'll challenge me to push myself as well. He really likes the stories, and he'll be like, go at it, get to it with everything you got. Then we brought Bladen Hunter, who does BGD and If It Hops. He did a really, really cool cover as well.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Stoked about that one. That one came out really good. So you guys can actually see the trade dress on that one. A lot of fun. And then we've got our buddy Steph Wilson and Carrie Ann, who do beautiful covers for us. They've done our very first connecting covers with Lee and Aria for this particular issue. They came out really, really cute, I think. Yep. So they fit right on next to each other, which is a lot of fun. You can actually see Oz in that one and Cade in the other one if you look close enough to it. Yep. And then we've got, let's see what else I brought up for you guys. And then, I wanted to show you guys the main characters of our stories, for this particular series. And that is Oz and Cade. I have a 3-year-old son named Oz, and a lot of his stories, a lot of the character Oz and his personality traits and stuff come from my son. I love him to pieces, but he's kind of a shit sometimes. You know what I mean? We all understand it. So it's like, we love them, but they're wild, right? And I wanted to integrate that into the story about this young 10-year-old dude. He wants to do what he's supposed to, but it's like he gets drug into this stuff by his monster under the bed, who isn't the nicest guy, but he's never going to let anything happen to the kid. You know what I mean? So it's a very interesting bond between the two of these characters, what they've got going on. Holy cow. I keep seeing all these awesome pieces of art while we're talking, guys. It's bananas. Like everybody's hitting me up with this really, really cool stuff. Like the trade dress that the new Underland trade dress. Speaking of Underland, so Underland is a story I've been working on for about 8 months. Steph Wilson and I had started putting it together a while ago.
That's a preview before you go any further, isn't it? Like you've been getting into a few of these next book preview coming out with the current Kickstarter. So Underland's the next one.
Underland is the next preview, yes, sir. It's a lot of fun because, the cool thing for the speculative market is it's still the first appearance of characters. A lot of people ask, they're like, when did the first appearance come out? Well, most of the time, our first appearances for our main characters are in the previews that we put out before we release the full issues. It's not an ash can. It's a full-size comic book. You know what I mean? But instead of being 24 page, it is 8 as an 8-page preview.
Just a taster. Just a little taster. Yeah.
And the art is a lot of fun. It's stunning. The Iris Cross, she just smashed these artworks. This is actually the first page. It's beautiful to me. I really enjoy it. It's my take on what it would be like to do a modern day Wonderland, but it's all underground. Like it's all underground. It's got magic and steampunk stuff going on. But the main character's not Alice. And I think that's an interesting way to do this story, is to have her as almost like an element in the story. Like you get all these different mini stories with her as this thing, you know what I mean? Um, she's a aspect, like you'll see in the Hatter book, you'll run across Alice. You'll see artist ears. So you'll see Alice in the Hatter issue. You'll see Alice in the Tweedledee and Tweedledum issues. You'll see Alice in the White Rabbits issues. The March Hare in our book is actually the giant jumping robot rabbit that she rides, but you still deal with like the White Rabbit, the Red Queen, um, the Caterpillar, you know, the Cheshire Cat. All of those characters are main characters in our stories. Some of them are terrifying. You know, it's coming from me, so you guys are going to get some wild shit. I'm a big fan of the Cheshire Cat. I think the Cheshire Cat's going to be a lot of fun. I think you guys will enjoy him. Now we have all these, like, everything's underground, like I mentioned. So like most lights and stuff are natural by like things in the area, you know. So then you've got a bunch of robot stuff. You've got a bunch of, like I said, it's a real steampunky. You know, they're building stuff to survive, and Alice is what we call a builder. So you'll get to see a lot of stuff with Alice and why everyone's trying to acquire Alice, and get her to do things. You know, get her to create things as a builder. You know, but it's a lot of fun. I think you guys will get real deep into it with some of the story with it. And getting into Greed though, man, I'm excited. I'm really excited because we're introducing Lee and Arya, who are both characters from the Listener, and that's a lot of fun for me because it's like 60 years in the future. You know, so how has this individual stayed so young? How has this character gotten here?
So that's like your first crossover,
Absolutely.
like into, you know, ethereal comic crossover,
Yep.
mate.
Absolutely.
Big leap. That's a big leap.
Man, it's exciting and it's terrifying all at the same time because you want to make both fan bases happy with the characters that they're seeing. So it's like being able to bring in Lee and Arya was a lot of fun for me because Arya's first appearance is actually this issue. She has never been in anything but spoken about in the Listener. She's been on a cover and she's been mentioned, but she's never been in an actual story. So it's
So this is her first
first
appearance
appearance. Yeah.
in the actual sequential pages.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
It was a lot of fun to me, and because the character's great, like
Yep.
it's like a very interesting relationship between the two of these characters, because Lee is raised by the Listener and so is Arya, you know, and it's not like they went to traditional school or anything like that. It's all paramilitary that they were raised with, you know, and demons and monsters and folklore, you know what I mean? So it's like all they've had is each other. So even though one of them is passed away, they're still connected to the other. You know, so if you're a fan of the Listener and you're into the noble spirits and stuff like that, um, yeah, I appreciate that. So as you're getting further into it, if like I said, if you're a fan of the Listener, you know about noble spirits, you've seen noble spirits. Arya is the first noble spirit in the Greed storyline. So you guys will actually get to see a little bit about that. You'll get to see the connections involved with them. You're also going to get to meet the god Cuchulainn in this issue, which is the Celtic god, and he is what we call a Feolod. A Feolod is the old school Irish werewolves, like where it all began, way back when, where the stories first originated from, all that jazz. And he's not as strong as he once was because in our books, like followers equal power. You know what I mean? The more people believe in you, the stronger you are. And he's kind of like demigod type of deal now because there's not so many people that believe in that group anymore. So he's got a small like group, like coven of werewolves almost. That, and I know that's a vampire term, but it's not quite what I meant by it. But he's got this group of werewolves that follow him and still believe in him, and he protects them from the outside world. You know, so in the Greed, he's currently looking for the Listener. and so are Lee and Arya. But they just happen to have stumbled upon the serpent tree, which has come out of nowhere in poor Oz's little town, and now he's got to deal with the repercussions of everything getting involved with that. It's like
so this little cross, like comic thing that you're doing is, without giving too much away to anyone, is this something that's going to continue on through varying other ethereal comic books, mate? Is that a plan tucked in there, or have I asked a question that shouldn't have been asked?
You're always good. You know me, I'll be honest. I'll always be honest. So Greed and the Listener tied hand in hand. The series are like literally like peanut butter and jelly. I used the first two issues of Greed to teach you about these characters and who they were, and then we go from there. You know what I mean? And we build upon the worlds. Like again, all this stuff that you'll hear about in Greed is stuff that has yet to happen in the Listener. You know what I mean? So with the Listener, actually, issue 4 just ended the arc. So when we go into issue 5 at the beginning of next year, you guys will be in America, like dealing with all the spiritual stuff and the supernatural goings on about what it is to be the Listener. So it all ties together in a real nice little bow. Like it's like you got to see the future, and then you wonder how you got there, and the Listener will pick that all up and teach you about where these characters come from, their past, and everything else. But then you've also got Greed and the storyline that it's running itself. You know what I mean? What it's going on, what these characters are dealing with. I mean, we met Lilith in the last issue, and she's not exactly the nicest character. You know what I mean? The Queen of Horrors, she's not going to be the nicest. But she doesn't like Cade, and Cade won't tell Oz why she doesn't like him. So there's some issues between the two buddies right now, because there's some secrets being kept, and one of them doesn't like being lied to, and the other one can't help but lie because he's a perpetual liar. You know what I mean? He can't.
The mystery unfolds, mate.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited to go forward. You guys, this is actually a very, very big deal for us, because our first large protagonist is making his first appearance in this issue for this series, and that is the Sin Wrath. And he's one of the scariest things I've ever written, because he's literally the sin trapped in an 8-year-old Nazi child's body. He's horrifying. Like, he's absolutely horrifying.
Now, is that an original character of yours?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, where did that come from? Because, man, I don't want to meet that kid.
Man, I write when I'm alone. You know what I mean? And
I'm willing to bet right there.
That's where it happened. No, when I started writing The Listener, I actually had started writing Greed while I was writing The Listener, the very first few issues. And because I wanted to write something for my son, and this is not a kid's book, by the way. Let me put that out there real quick. It's not a kid's book. But I started writing these stories, and I tend to write 4 and 5 issues at a time. Like, I come into my office, I put everything down, and then I jam out. You know what I mean? I really get into the meat of things. And he came off as a character that I wanted the Listener to deal with later. We have a story arc called The Sin War that's coming out, I don't know, next year probably. But you guys have to remember, I'm 37 issues ahead of where we are, the Listener, right now. The story's actually written and edited that far ahead. So, but I digress. He's a terrifying character. Like, he's absolutely horrifying. Because I was sitting, my uncle had died, I was grieving, all I was thinking about was this war we were writing about, and he just came into my head. He was like, what was the meanest thing I could think of? This shitty little kid that hated everyone, and to have him be possessed by wrath, willingly possessed by wrath, I thought that was terrifying to me. You know what I mean? I was like, wow, holy shit. So, like, you'll see this character literally going at it with Arya. You'll see him going at it with Lee. You'll see him going at it with Kukulane. You'll also see him going at it with Lilith. And I wrote some of the best one-liners for that fight. They were so good. Like, I mean, I don't toot my own horn very often, but they're really good one-liners for that fight. Because he's just a fucking dick. He's not a nice person. He's like, he is talking shit to this woman like no other. But he's sitting here talking to a god like he's a puppy as well. So it's a lot of fun, the character, because we got to go so far with him, and we could push him. Um, yeah, we could
Now,
push
did you
him in a
have any
way.
boundaries on him? Because it sounds like
Not at
you
all.
took a lot of personal stuff out with this little character, man. So, like,
I
did you have to reel yourself in there occasionally and do the whole, yeah,
I
maybe
had to
that's.
reel in his vocabulary
Mm,
because it was real easy to go to dark places with that character. You know what I mean?
mm,
I really had to tone, because even though we use language and stuff in our books, and I really don't hold back on that either, there are certain places even I don't dwell. You know what I mean? So it was
mm,
like reel him in just enough to keep him as scary as we can keep him, and but let him all hang out at the same time.
mm,
You know, like to me, this child. So like, I'll give you a perfect example. Yesterday morning, right? Yesterday morning, Heather gets up at 5:30 to start getting ready for work and everything else. I get up because she's woken me up, and I go to pee, and I walk out of the bathroom, and my 3-year-old standing there. He scared the shit out of me, right? Like in the dark, scared the shit out of me. And I think that you
well,
can.
lucky you were near the toilet, mate.
Right, exactly. So, but it's like children can be terrifying like that in their own right. I have friends that don't like to stay, like when we were younger, wouldn't like to stay the night because my daughter laughed all the time. She's a happy little girl. She laughed all the time, and it would scare the shit out of my friends in the middle of the night. If they'd been over drinking and stuff, and my daughter would come trucking down the hallway laughing. You know what I mean? It'd scare the shit out of them. So, but there's this concept with these characters that you can make them scary using the things that are terrifying about humanity. You know, like
Mm,
the short story that came out with Wrath for Guy's Journal. When it came out, it's literally about how Wrath possesses the child, and he kills a bunch of children in his that hang out with him normally because his mother gave them cookies, whereas they were of a group of people that he wouldn't want to have cookies. They were his cookies, and to give them was like sacrilegious because they weren't blonde hair, blue eyes.
mm,
You know what I mean? So he kills his mother and in turn waits for his father to come home to kill him as well. And we write that from the perspective of Wrath, as he's literally like riding this child, and watching the events unfold. It's a terrifying thing to write about, and I think putting him as a antagonist for Oz, being a 10-year-old kid and being a normal, relatively 10-year-old kid, that having an 8-year-old terrifying monster child as his protagonist, I think is really interesting, and also one of the most powerful characters in our world because he's one of the sins, and Christianity is one of the largest belief systems in our world today.
mm.
So he's like uber powerful, you know, and like I said, literally going at it with a listener stand-in, uh, a noble spirit, a god, and major demoness, and he's just going toe to toe with them like it's another day in the park, you know. And at the same time, you still have the story of Oz and Cade and what they're doing during this whole adventure. You know what I mean? They've got their own storyline, and I think that was one of the coolest parts about this particular issue is we started to get to break out into the different stories. What we were giving people. What kind of character development they would get. And I'm absolutely in love with it. I think it's a phenomenal where we've come.
So even though this is like the 10th release from Ethereal, essentially what you're saying is like this is that was, I guess, to quote, like another big place, phase one. So
Right,
this is moving into like phase two of
right,
the
absolutely.
cross sections and the stories evolving and moving.
For sure.
Now, I got one for you.
Yeah, please.
While you with your crossing of like the listener and greed characters and stuff like that, maybe it might not just be me, but hey, it could be. You get a few comments here and there, about other worlds intersecting, like is there a whole plan, like further on in further phases or, like down the track of other worlds coming in together to collide, so to speak?
I haven't. I think so. We've already established and we've hinted at. So I'll just throw that out there that BGD and if it hops are connected.
Yep.
Those worlds are connected. They will not connect with greed and the listener in the world that they consist in. And if they do, it'll be in a really funny way, just because it's something I've decided to do that's wacky or something like that.
Yeah.
But like when you get into like this Christmas, okay, this Christmas coming up, you'll have one of the books that has it'll be the Christmas issue that we're putting out, and it'll have everybody from the books in it. They'll be exchanging gifts and talking about their stories, and it'll almost be like reviews of the year and the issues that have come out this year.
So that'll be like an ethereal Christmas special type
absolutely.
thing.
Yep. And
recapping the whole year of 2022 and what's been and stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited about it because then we're gonna do 6 pages of story and then 18 pages of art. So it'll be a lot of fun.
That's art that hasn't been shown before or previewed.
Yep, it'll all be pinups. It'll be all
right. So that's all just extras for people that love this stuff, and they can get it and have a look at some of the stuff that hasn't been used. And that any fresh stuff coming?
All of it, every bit of it. I'm not using anything that we've had laying around for that. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm really thrilled with all of it. I'm thrilled with the characters. I'm thrilled with our new characters that we're getting to show off. Like, the Hatter.
Yep.
She's a great character. Absolutely great character. I'm so thrilled with how the Iris has brought her to life. She's a lot of fun. And she's just a very interesting character because she's very different than any of the stereotypes or archetypes that we use now. So getting to show her off in a way that's different is very prolific, I think. And it's good for the fan base so they can see some different stuff. And again, we're bringing Lilith back. So she gets to be the big bad for a little bit. She's a lot of fun though. A lot of people enjoy the character because she's like that break the third wall or break the fourth wall type of character. She understands so much more than she lets on, and she's trying to figure out why everybody's lying to her. But she's making a big dash for the serpent tree because the serpent tree is actually it's like an item of power in our world. Even though it's this giant, huge tree, it's an item. Like if you get to the top of it, you control the tree. And you control where the tree goes. You can control the tree's size. You control the beings in the tree.
So it's a sentient tree?
The
tree is its own thing, or it's a combination of villainy?
It's its own being. So if you look back into like folklore and theology and stuff, the serpent tree was what the world snake would slough its skin off of.
Mm-hmm.
So what we did with the tree is we made it so that it is like the quintessential serpent tree. Like if there was a serpent deity or demigod or anything like that, they reside in the tree.
Yeah.
So like think of it like this: you have the ability to move this army at will anywhere in the world just because you chose to. And there's nobody that can say no because it's just going to go because the roots are all over the world. It's a lot of fun. It opens for a lot of different storytelling elements. And then the world serpent's skin is actually, if you wrapped yourself in it, you could heal from any wound.
Yep.
So it's a very sought after relic, basically.
That's a handy tree.
Yeah, for sure. So it's been hidden for so long, and now they're trying to figure out who let it out, why they let it out, and now you've got good and evil both vying for control over it.
Yeah.
Where
Have you got a picture of the tree there?
I don't think we've shown any of the actual. Hold on. I think I have a cover with it on there. I don't think I have anything that's not a TIFF. Hold on. Um, Let me see. You can see a little bit of it here because it's Adam's cover. You can see it in the background coming up out of the
Yeah,
ground.
yeah.
Um, but let me see if I can find an actual, like a really good image. Because to stop myself from sharing things all over the place, I tend not to save files in a way that I can share them.
Well, if you're gonna share, now's the time, mate.
Now's the time. So this is the tree actually coming up out of the ground when it first comes up.
Yeah.
But it's huge. Like you're talking, if you were in, like, let's say you were in a major metropolis and looked up, you wouldn't be able to see the sky because of the branches.
Yeah, right.
I mean, it's huge. But it's so much fun, and I love writing it. I love working with everyone on it. It's such a pleasure to work on this project because it's so very different than anything else we do, and it's my closest, like, good and evil story. You know what I mean? It's not a gray area. You know what I mean? Oz is the good guy. You know your good gods from your evil gods. You know what I mean? Stuff like that, and it's very, with the exception of, like, Christianity in our world, and Christianity kind of tries to keep a balance.
Mm,
Really doesn't matter which side you're on, there's a balance.
mm,
Versus other deities and stuff that haven't chosen, like, a camp to be part of. You know
mm.
what I mean? They kind of do their own things. You guys one of the biggest groups of antagonists in the story are the seven deadly sins, and they're supposed to do something and they don't. So it's a very interesting thing because they no longer follow the rules that they're supposed to follow. And then you've got, like, the four horsemen are also in greed. The four horsemen are, they have their part to play, you know, but they end up going after the listener because they think the listener is the one that's breaking the rules. Therefore, Oz and Cade get sucked up all in what they've got going on, you know. Not in this book, but there's a cool panel in a couple books coming forward where you've got our young protagonist who's running, but there's horses just smashing the ground around him as he's trying to run from these, like, massive supernatural steeds. It's a very cool concept.
That's
Uh,
like there's that idea of like sort of being down on your haunches, man, in a field and horses' hooves just pounding
yeah,
around you. That's a cool image because it is
right,
pretty scary. You could imagine being out there because it's you're just praying that one of those
right.
things don't
You're not
step
going to get
on
stepped on. Yeah, absolutely. And for those of you that have never been stepped on or kicked by a horse, it's not great. It's really not great. Um, I mean,
And
yeah.
they got a nasty bite too, those
Oh yeah,
bastards. Let me tell you, man, ow. It's
yeah,
like, I don't like that shit. I got bitten by one of them when I was a kid down in
yeah.
Gundagai, man. God damn, that hurt.
Uh-uh.
Moody thing. It's like trying to fucking talk to him, man, and he just
Yeah.
bit me. It's like,
Here, let me give you an apple. Wow.
wow.
You fuck. Yeah. No,
uh,
but it's really really cool to see how these characters have are developing. Because you've got this young kid that's like, holy shit, and all these things he's seeing, but this is the only friend he's ever really had. So you're developing this, like, friendship and these bonds between these two characters, and I mean they're literally shooting the shit between each other all the time.
well, from
You
what
know,
I've seen and read, they seem to be like, I guess, growing up together
for
to a
sure.
certain extent.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's a bond between the two characters that we haven't explained yet, or why it's there.
Mm,
I gave away a lot when I titled the book. You know what I mean? And My wife was ready to whoop my ass for giving away so much with the title, but I feel like I don't feel like everybody's got it quite yet, and I'm okay with that. If you figured it out, I love the fact you figured it out. Um, but I guarantee you haven't figured out the hook. I swear you haven't figured out the hook. But we'll get into that here in the next, like, I think it's 6 issues. We'll hit issue 6, and it'll be like, holy shit, because there'll be a shift in the characters going forward. But right now you've got 3 really, really good aligned characters, a neutral character, and a really, really big bad in one area. And now you've got these 2 little dudes that are stepping right in the middle of all those characters. And Cade wants nothing to do with any of them, but he wants to get up the tree. So that's where the issue starts, with these 2 trying to get up the tree. I'm afraid for them going up the tree, you know, because there's a lot in the tree that's just as scary as the stuff that's down below the tree.
Yeah.
It's a
Because
lot.
now you have a lot of as you call it, swag with your your Kickstarter stuff.
Yep.
So last couple of things I've noticed, you've got original art and you've got different things like that. So what extras have you got for those people out there that are having a gander at the old Kickstarter page right now, mate, or about to when they stop listening to us?
This one we've got a card. The card will have the stats on it for Lilith, and it's like almost like a base bar card. Like it'll have your strengths, your weaknesses. It's not going to have your fucking hobbies on it or anything, but it'll have it might have their favorite food on there. But we've got that, and that's a stretch goal. Then we've got a mini print for a stretch goal, which is going to be really pretty. It'll be a version of this as a mini print, which will be great.
Yeah.
Some people like to collect them, which is a lot of fun.
And then, for anyone at home that doesn't know, how big are these mini prints?
Oh my gosh, I don't know the exact sizes, but they're like, it'd be like an ash can. If you've ever collected comic book ash cans, it'd be like the size of an ash can.
Yep.
Excuse me. And then the big one, I've started doing something that's very important on our Kickstarters in the past, like 4 of them, I think it's been, is where we add additional pages. We add additional full color story pages to the book.
And that takes it from 24 to 30, doesn't it?
It'll be 30 full color pages, yes, sir. And that's been such a really cool thing for us, because we've gotten to show so much more story than we had thought we may have at the time or anything.
Now I got a question for you.
Yeah.
When you've got your 24, when you add those 6 pages, have you already written those? Or are they things that you come back to and you sort of re-edit the comic book a little bit to suit that? Come on, I'm in the big zone today, man.
Not in the least. And the fun thing about that is they're arcs. And if you read the last issue of BGD that came out, issue 2, we added the Stitches storyline. We did 8 pages for that one. 8 pages. And it was we added the start to the Stitches story arc. I'll never reprint that. Okay. So the cool thing about it is, unless we do like a reprint compendium or something.
So is that the same? You never reprint any of these extra pages ever for any of the comic books? So if you get that like little tier, it's like it's boom. It's one time only sort of stuff.
That's it. So you'll never get them reprinted. So the cool thing about them is I take arcs. Like Stitches, I had already started. I was like, man, I'm peddling this out between books, backstory. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to take those 8 pages of this wild shit I've been writing, and I'm going to add it to the back of this. And then, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build off that. Every time that we hit the goals for BGD, I'll add more of Stitches to the back of it. And so with Greed, we did it for If It Hops as well. We added 6 pages for that. And we did this really, really fun storyline with that one. I was thrilled with it, that we could go in and show you guys Agent K, what Agent K has been doing the whole time, that Agent C has been having to deal with the serial killer and stuff. And then we introduced the character Ryoshi in that particular thing, who's a fox. She's a great character too. But it's a lot of fun to show you guys things that are coming, or things that are even going on simultaneously to the story that you read just pages before. And I think that's very powerful, and I think that we're going to continue doing that. Like with this issue of with Greed, will be a storyline with Cade.
Yep.
And what he's got going on. Actually, it's kind of in the air right now with me because everybody's ready to do the work. You know what I mean? I haven't decided what either it's going to be the storyline with Cade, or it's going to be what's going on with the listener at this point in time. So I'm pretty excited either way, whichever direction we go. It's 4:06. Sorry, guys. Trying to.
I like the fact that you're doing that, man, because I'm a fan of the
Yeah,
listener.
I love that you are, and I love that it does have its fan base. So with the fact that Ed Garcia, and spoiler alert, guys, Ed Garcia is going to be doing the listener starting on issue 5. So if you enjoy his stuff with Greed, you're really going to enjoy the listener, because he's going to be doing all the interior artwork for that coming up. So we're thrilled with that. But it's neat to be able to bring these two characters together, and eventually Cade will run into, or Oz will run into Addie, at some point in time. But right now, everybody's basically trying to find him, through all the shenanigans. What's going on, John? John's an incredible dude too. He runs awesome Kickstarters as well. But we're trying to figure out where the character is, and why everybody and their mother is trying to find him, So you're literally going to meet Wrath, who is not there for the tree. It just happens to be lucky happenstance for him.
He's just there to kick ass because he's bad, dude.
Yeah, basically, just because he's a dick, But he is hunting the listener, and we get into a little bit of that backstory with Leonaria, because they've been around him for so long, but even he's just missing. That even they have no clue where he is, So I think that's gonna be a lot of fun, because I've been setting up the end of the listener since the beginning of the listener. Not the end of the story, but the end of the current listener. So I'm very, very excited about it, and to see this come to fruition and these characters fit so well has been, a quote unquote godsend. You know what I mean? It's been a really, really cool experience with all these different characters.
Well, it's all a marathon, isn't it, mate? We discussed that when we first met. Like you can have the short game, but then you can have the, like the stories of the marathons. They just take time, take planning. Like little breadcrumbs as such, intertwining for people to get onto, I found with the stuff that I've read of Ethereals, it's you never finish it, put it down. You sort of, if you do a day or so later, you come back and go, I'm going to reread that and there's more, and you go like, damn, I missed that, the first time. It's like, and that makes more sense to me now, like when you, layers, mate, layers, like it's a good thing,
For sure. Absolutely. I agree 100%. I'm a huge fan of building, and giving you guys so much depth. If we don't have the depth, then we really don't have anything. You know what I mean? Like I just constantly want to give you guys more, because anybody can write a story that's one dimensional. Like the duck went down to the supermarket. You know what I mean? Fine, cool. Like, but why did the duck go to the supermarket? What's the duck wearing? Why should I give a shit that the duck went to the supermarket? You know what I mean? There's all these different things and nuances in storytelling that I crave. Like, I crave them. I need them to give you something for your palate. Like whether it's monsters fighting or, a kid running away from a demon. Why are these things occurring? And they have to be pretty too. Like, they have to be beautiful on the page. And it's not just appeasing to your brain and your storytelling and the palette like that, but it has to be visually appealing, because you literally are like, you're flipping through the pages, but it's not just the page turn. It has to be this art that draws you into this world and this incredible like feeling of accomplishment when you get there. Holy shit, I knew that was going to happen, but I can't believe it happened like this.
Yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Or, whoa, I had no idea that dude's melon was just going to get exploded when I turned the page. There's just so many cool things in storytelling that I think that we as creators and writers in general, we have to suss out for our readers. We have to find out what's interesting to people. You know what I mean? Because I can go, yeah, Lilith's pretty. She goes out there and she looks good on the page, and all the artists draw her really well. But what makes her interesting outside of her physical appeal to the character? She has her own issues. The fact that she's hiding in our little town. Why is she hiding from Lucifer? Well, in reality, she got caught canoodling with Hades, so they kicked her out. And now she's basically decided that this little town was going to be her kingdom, and she was going to defend it from all comers. So Cade being in her little town is upsetting to her. She doesn't want this little green demon in her town, but we don't know why. There's so much more that meets the eye between these two characters, you know. And
And
every time,
these are all the questions that'll be answered in oncoming issues, won't they?
absolutely,
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's the string, mate. That
right?
keeps people coming back. Like some of my favorite comic books are always those ones that you want to go back to find out why, because you're left hanging and unanswered questions. Like you can't
Right,
give everything away. Like in a blink of an eye.
for
So you
sure.
can't bloody finish the movie in the first 5 minutes, can you?
I don't think it's any fun if you know the end before you
No.
get there. And I think right now we're getting to a place where these characters are comfortably able to grab attention. They're
Mm,
able to, and with so like when we started this new art style, when we brought on Ed, it was like this guy's been in the industry a long time.
mm.
You know what I mean? He knows what's appealing, like angles and backgrounds, and he's very very intelligent when it comes to these things, and he's super talented. So it's like I kind of just I write my panels, I do my designs, and then I just let him hang. He does his thing, and it looks beautiful every time he does something.
Mm.
I think this particular issue is going to teach people a lot about the characters moving forward and what we've got going on. Um, I'm thrilled to see Wrath, as terrifying as he is to me. Seeing the character on paper was horrifying, like absolutely horrifying, because he's got this literal like icy feel to him, like he knows he's gonna fuck you up, and there's nothing you can do about it.
And
Like,
I'm willing to bet that David Acampo, because man, I have to say, like, I'm quite sure he would have worked some colourful magic on that
oh man,
icy, like
oh
emotion that's
he
coming
definitely
through
did it.
the page.
He definitely did it. He definitely pulled out some beautiful colors on the character, and I mean, to see this child be as terrifying as he is definitely something. And I think David's real good, man. He
Mm.
does. He's again another guy that's been in this industry a really long time. So he comes in and he brings these years of experience, and he can literally take something that would be so normal and turn it into something so extraordinary. Like you're literally looking at pages going, that should not be as great as it is. And it's literally because you've taken these two guys that have been in the industry for 20 some odd years, and have been like, hey, you guys want to work together and do like some really cool shit. And it's like they just play off each other well, because when the colorist doesn't have to do things to make them right, you know what I mean? He doesn't have to mess with lines, he doesn't have to do anything. He just goes in and they work, and that's an experience thing. And it's just really really cool to see, man. I'm absolutely thrilled with what they've done. Like, I mean, oh, that's from If It Hops, but they take these colors, man, and Like, just it's crazy looking to me. You
Well,
know,
it's vibrant, mate. That's the first thing that like pokes me in the eye is every
right,
time I see one of these pages, I'm always, ooh, like
right,
it
right,
really
yeah,
bounce off. And I mean, I'm a black and white artist, as people know, so
right,
I definitely take notice of everything. But
for sure.
yeah, David's coloring is pretty special, I would say. So yeah, no, he's good. I mean, he does awesome stuff with your other artist covers and stuff
Yeah,
like that
for
too,
sure.
mate.
I
So
agree.
if anyone loves good colorists, like jump on Greed 3 right now and get some David Acampo into your life. You won't
You
know
need
what's
that a campo. That's like you need a campo, like you need vitamin C in your life, man. Get on that.
That's right. A vitamin O Campo.
There you go. So we brought on Anthony Helmer, who is a very, very cool guy, and he's working on covers going forward. His first cover is actually for the preview for Underland, and holy shit,
Yeah, that's a good one.
Gwen colored it. It came out really, really good.
Mm.
It's mesmerizing to me. Like every time I look at it, I feel like the shit's moving. Like I know it's not moving,
Mm.
but I feel like it's moving. So I was really, really happy with that. I think they did a really good job with that. There's a wild version of that cover on the Kickstarter available as well. Let me see if I got any more. I know that. Oh man, check this one out. So this is Greg Bow and Gwen's normal Year of the Blue Flame cover. You guys got to see the other one a minute ago, but here's the other one. Just wow,
Yeah,
like
that's cool.
wow, man. I mean, I'm a big fan, and I think that's important. Like I'm a big fan. Like every time somebody sends me something on our team, I'm like, oh yeah, 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 I'm about that. That's awesome, or you just get excited because you see everything that everybody's doing, and you're like, dude, that's epic. Here's Mark May's cover. It came out really fun.
Yep.
Sanju colored that one. The Gremlins homage type of deal. So
Mm.
that was cool. Really enjoyed that. We have a ton of beautiful covers on this book, guys.
Mm.
Like a literal ton of covers.
A plethora.
Oh, there you go. That's the word I was looking for. I can't seem to find Dennis's, but I'll show you his black and white, and you guys can stew on that one for a second. Came out really, really cool. Um,
Yes.
yeah, that came out really good. But that's colored by David Acampo too when it's on the Kickstarter. Here's another cool page though. I just think there's so much going on that it's just the layout's great. The characters are really spot on.
Mm.
Depth, man, he's so good at depth.
Mm.
I don't know. I'm like I said, I'm a fan, guys. Like if if you ever wanted me to push a book, let me be a fan of the book. I will push the shit out of it. But again, we've had so much fun with it. The different stuff coming out. The Underland pages have come out beautiful. Mind you, I've only been allowed to see a handful of them too because I like to share shit too much, so I don't get to see too much of it. But they come out really, really good. I'm thrilled with Lee Iris. She's just brought on this amazing life to these characters from Underland. I just was not expecting this to be anywhere near as cool as it was when we started putting it together. And as it went further along and came to life, it was just awesome. Just great stuff. It's a different type of style than what we normally do, which is a lot of fun. I always try to keep all the books different looking.
Mm.
I never want you guys to feel like you've picked up the same thing. Even though we use some of the same team members for projects, I don't ever want you to feel like that. I don't want you to ever feel like you got shorted because we decided to use the same folks, and all of our team and Lee as well. I mean, if you guys have seen his work, he can change it, man. It's not like just one type of line work you're gonna get, and it's just really cool. Like I'm in love with the depth in this page. I think
Well,
David really
perspective is one of the hardest things you can get right, mate. Like that's
sure.
there's a lot of people, like very good at the foregrounds and stuff. But when you get into that perspective and see things getting, like ratios of sizes right, like, man, it's hard work. If you can get it, it's good stuff.
And I understand that it's one of like the most difficult things, and I know that a lot of these things can be like terrifying. You know what I mean? When you're asked to do them, or somebody's like, "Hey, look, can you make this happen?" Or we want it to look like this, and it's just like, "Well, hey, are we guaranteed to get that particular type of thing?" Here's a cover that we haven't shown this evening. This is Sean Forney's cover, which was with the God Kukulane on it, which was just awesome.
Yeah.
Watching the two of those characters go at it is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's absolutely awesome. And then when they start working together, it's even cooler. Like, it's even cooler. I mean, but like I said, the two of them end up going at it with Wrath, and it's a lot of fun because you have to look at like character sizes. You're talking about a 6 foot tall person and like an 6.5, 7 foot tall person against an 8-year-old child. You know what I mean? So it's interesting to see how his strength affects, the fight between these characters.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have a blast watching, reading it as well as I do as writing it. It's quite an experience to be putting these things together. So right now, we're at just over halfway to goal. We're at $652 right now, and 14 backers, and we're just getting started, guys. We've got 21 days. I feel like we're going to be, I think we're going to be funded in the next hour. You know what I mean? I don't worry about any of that. I appreciate you guys' support, and I appreciate you guys hanging out with us this evening. I'll be sporadically on and off the interwebs tonight. JT is coming over for the weekend because we've got Nashville Comic Con. It's going to be a blast. They're really, really good folks. They gave us a corner booth, and I'm really excited because normally my shows are all out of state and stuff. So to do a show that's only like half an hour from the house, that's pretty cool. I'm really, really excited about it. I'd like to thank those guys at Nashville Comic Con for having us this weekend. I can't wait to see you guys. I'll have issues 1 and 2 agreed with me. I'll have BGD with me. If it hops, the previews editions, and a couple other books. If you have not ordered If It Hops, you can still reach out to me and order If It Hops before the order goes out, because has not come back to me back yet from the printer. So you guys are not missing out. So holler at me if you need any books. Check out the Kickstarter, man. Let me post a link real quick, and you guys check it out. We put Russ and I have worked really hard on this Kickstarter. It looks really, really good. I mean, I'm not just saying that because it's my Kickstarter, but it looks really, really good.
Well, you probably, I don't know everyone in the American indie comic book world, mate. But from what I know of you, mate, you're definitely a bloody hard worker. So
I appreciate that.
It's jump on Grid 3, support Ethereal, and go down and see Dustin tomorrow with the Nashville. What is it? Comic book convention.
Nashville Comic Con.
There you go, and
Really
he'll be happy to. And he'll be happy to, talk to you because he likes a good yarn, the old Dustin, don't you, mate? Hey?
I do. I get to talking.
Yeah. And ask him about his tattoos.
Yeah, there's a bunch of those. Ask about those. They're all over the place. Half of them are naked chicks. Ask me about them. I'll tell you all about them.
He's barely got any skin left.
I just, the only place I won't tattoo, man, truthfully, is the neck. Man, like the neck makes me nervous. I don't know why it makes me nervous, but like I don't even wear necklaces, man. Like I don't nothing around the neck. I don't like my collars being too tight. I think asphyxiation is the only thing in the world that terrifies me.
Yeah.
What's going on, Shawnee?
Hey, Shawnee.
Yeah, asphyxiation is the only thing that scares me. So we're not gonna tattoo the neck just because I'll get like 5 minutes into it and be like, fuck this, and then have like a line up the side of my neck.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story on that, man. The other day I'm walking in town and this dude walks past me. He's standing at the shopping center, and I'm thinking that's a weird tattoo. He's got it like up along here. I thought, oh, like fair, that's pretty tough sort of tattoo. And I don't want to stare at this dude. He's sort of freaking me out a bit, Like he may have been a lovely fella. Don't get me wrong,
right.
And I'm like flicking side glances at him, and then I looked at this tattoo, and man, it's his postcode. Like, and I thought, do you not know where you live?
It's like lost, man. He needs that for people to send him home.
Yeah, maybe that's for those times where he's at the pub, like and he can't get his license. Take me here. That's close enough. Oh, okay,
this is where I'm supposed to be at. I'll walk from here.
Yeah. No, I just thought that was an interesting tattoo, and good luck to him.
For sure. Good luck to that guy. There are a couple areas that really hurt and then a couple areas that didn't that I expected to hurt, like the ditch of the arm right here, your elbow. Everybody was like, "Oh, that's awful. That didn't hurt." Like wrist bones and stuff. Wrist bones aren't bad. Everybody said they were bad. The only place that I've had that gave me a really, really hard time was armpit. Armpit was real tough. Like that was like almost tear worthy type of tough. And the backs of the knees. Backs of the knees were real like I'm like, hey, can you put the numbing spray on that, please? That's real bad. Like I'm not a fan. And the thing about those is I was getting it done at a show. Like Gabby was like, hey, look, can I do it at a show? And I was like, yeah, we'll go to a tattoo show and you can do it.
So you had a crowd, did you?
Yeah, the last place you want to punk out is at a show, right? So I'm sitting there going, oh my God, this is the worst tattoo thing I've ever had in my whole life. And
bite down on that stick, man.
Yeah, dude. She's like, you're covered in tattoos, quit being a baby. And I'm like, that fucking hurts. But yeah, man, that was a tough one. Back of the knees is definitely the worst. I don't think back is bad, shoulders, anything like that. Armpit and back and knee. Oh, God. I'll never do armpit again. That was because it's such a soft area, right? Like it's like, hold on, where's my? So like when you start getting into, it's more up here, it's back there. So when you start getting into here, you're just like, oh, it's real soft in there. It's like not normal skin. Yeah, it's bad. It's real bad. It's like,
that's the part of the body that fucking like burns at the sight of sun, let alone a big needle all dig in you. Like,
it's like a million bee stings in that area all at the same time, and you're just like, this is not great. Let's not do this again. Not this area. We'll avoid the armpit at all costs. But anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out with us. I appreciate it. Like I said, I got to get ready for that show tomorrow, and JT will be here in no time. So thanks again for hanging out with me and Lee. We really appreciate you guys and all your support, and all these support for Ethereal and stuff. And I just like to shout out to everybody that we work with. Again, 10 campaigns, guys. 10 fucking campaigns. Thank you so much. I cannot wait to show everybody what we're going to do for the rest of this year. I mean, for those BGD fans, we've got BGD again this year. We've got If It Hops again this year. We've got everybody's new favorite Steph Wilson book coming out, which is Fallen Leaves, and they're going to call that the EILF book. Do you know about EILF there, Lee? Do you know what that stands for?
Yeah, I know what that stands for.
All right, just checking. I didn't know if it was the same thing.
That can be a mystery for the other people that don't know what it stands out for.
There you go. And if you live in Australia and you need to know, ask Lee. He'll tell you exactly what that stands for.
I'll tell you something. Don't worry about that. I'll tell you something. It might not be what you want to hear, but I'll let you know.
You and your brown fish and your crazy shit over there. Anyway, thanks again, guys, for hanging out with us, and we will catch you shortly. Be good. Head by later. Check it out. Greed 3. Thanks again. Have a good night, everyone.